Hey, thank you for joining us. This is Kevin Clarkson with Prophecy in the News, bringing you an update. In this month of February, we've had a world assessment of terror threats led by our CIA head, James Clapper, and he addressed people from all over the world at this, and he said that in the years that he's been monitoring threats and the dangers to our own national security, especially as related to the United States, he says this is as dangerous a time as he has ever remembered. In fact, predictions are that by maybe sometime before the end of 2016 that ISIS may penetrate America with an attack on our own continent. And that's not to alarm you folks, but that's to let you know that ISIS is very well funded and very desperate to accomplish their goals, and they will do whatever it takes. Naturally, they are opposing America because America historically has stood with Israel, and they see Israel as the great enemy and America as a great supporter of that enemy as well as an aggressor in its own right. Clapper also added a surprise this year as he listed some of the more threats that exist out there. As he made reference to them, for the first time he included designing the gene, the human gene, and the gene of species. And this takes things in an area that some of us in the world of prophecy have known about for some time. We've been concerned about transhumanism, about genetic splicing, about the creation of hybrid species. Now it's being mentioned by our own national security chiefs. And one of the things he said was that they could envision killer mosquitoes. We're already seeing the Zika virus invading America. Our president this week has asked for Congress to approve $1.8 billion with a B dollars to combat the threat of Zika. Although we were told not to be alarmed, there are already cases in Florida and cases in Dallas, Texas, and those are just the ones that we know about. Obviously, this is coming big out of Brazil and through Central America, but it is now on our own shores. But imagine, we've never heard of this before. It causes, this particular Zika virus causes in pregnant women a mutation or a problem with their children that are born. The skull is not properly developed and is not able to contain the brain as it grows. And most of these children do not live, tragically, beyond a few months of lifetime. You know, you may ask yourself the question, why have we never heard of this before? I don't have the answer to that, but I do know that bio-terrorism is a very real possibility. And so the thought that killer mosquitoes could be there. They mentioned wiping out of entire crops, that is that there would be a strain of disease produced that could be released and destroy staple crops like wheat or corn or something that is very important to people's sustenance on this earth. And it's just another form of bioterrorism. And then there could actually be particular bioterror weapons that would affect the genes inside of a person and cause them to deteriorate and to disintegrate. These are all mentioned by James Clapper in his report. And to have these things listed as new weapons of mass destruction seemed to catch some in the military intelligence by surprise. Others have been concerned about these things for years. You know, as I read prophecy, and that's what we're about on this show, I go to Matthew 24, where Jesus was asked about the signs and the time of the end. And he said in Matthew 24, these verses are well known to a lot of us, but he warned about, you'll hear of wars and rumors of wars, Matthew 24:6. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Listen to the next verse. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And we've heard that. And then he says this, there will be famines and pestilences, that is, diseases, and earthquakes in divers places. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Now, in the past, when we've heard about diseases, pestilences, plagues, and famines, most of us have thought of those things as, quote, acts of God. We've thought of those things that actually happened to us and we just had to react to. But with the advent of these new weapons of mass destruction that can wipe out entire staple crops and can actually perhaps create diseases among humans through genetic attack, it suddenly is a new possibility that these are not God-caused but man-caused. One of the things that we see playing out in the book of Revelation itself is that as the seals are opened, those seven seals that open seem to be man's sin to man. And then when those trumpets blow, that actually seems to be a direct satanic attack on man. And then, of course, finally the bowls of wrath or vials of wrath are poured out, and that's the direct act of God. So we see that suffering can come from human, satanic, and divine origins. And Jesus is certainly on to that when he warns us in Matthew 24. And it could very well be that we're seeing the beginning of the stage for these man-caused disasters that affect famine and can cause pestilence and disease. Folks, Jesus tells us these things to be forewarned, because to be forewarned is to be forearmed, and to be forearmed is to be ready for whatever comes. The greatest thing you can do if you're not ready and you are concerned about the future of your life and the future of this planet is to give your life to Jesus Christ and trust Him. He is coming again, and He is coming to reign and rule on this earth. And you need to know Him in a saving relationship. If that's never happened to you, call on His name and be saved. And as we walk with Him, we are looking up. God bless you. Thank you for listening.